Thank you, Keith. Appreciate that. And welcome, everyone. I want to... Keith?
Don't worry about it.
Okay, all right. I want to say that I was really excited when I first heard what the theme of these TED Talks were going to be, that air was going to be that theme, because I am a retired science teacher, and there's nothing like a talk about air to get a science teacher, especially an earth science teacher, excited. But I was also thrilled to hear that the theme was air, because air is a perfect metaphor for public education. Think about it. Air and public schools, they're everywhere. Everyone is entitled to breathe the air. Everyone can send their kids to public school. Our survival as both individuals and as a society depends upon the air we breathe and upon the education we receive. Air and public education are also great lessons in complacency, and that's mainly what I want to talk about tonight. Beautiful. Did that change? Yes. Generally, we feel very comfortable about the air. We take walks on beautiful spring days like today, and we drink the air in, and we think, air. There's absolutely everything wonderful about air. There can't possibly be any dangers or deficiencies associated with air. Could there be? Maybe we should ask the residents of Southern California, who last December were totally overwhelmed by wind-driven wildfires. Or maybe we should ask the residents of coastal cities in Florida, who over the last couple years have just had their homes all obliterated by hurricanes. Or maybe we should ask the residents of Phoenix, Arizona, who last summer endured, are you ready, 113 consecutive days of temperatures over 100 degrees. These are real dangers that killed people, and yet we, you and I, remain complacent about the air because, well, those are problems that are in some far distant place. We don't think that can affect us here in central New York. Sadly, we are, if anything, as or even more complacent about public education. Many people are just blissfully unaware that there are any problems in public education. Or you might think, well, yeah, there's some minor problems in public education, but you know, we've done all right. We've survived, we succeeded, we navigated our way through school, and we came out just fine. And besides, if there are problems in public education, they're probably in, again, faraway places like the big cities, like New York or Los Angeles or Chicago. I hate to be the alarmist Debbie Downer, Chicken Little person, but I need to make it very clear. There are serious problems in education in this country. And those problems are in your community schools, guaranteed. Give me a second, sorry. Oh, I'm really sorry, I'm having a senior moment here. Anyway, let me do this. That was the definition. Okay, let me explain what some of these dangers and deficiencies in public education are. Some examples. The first bullet or bubble in the upper left should actually scare the whatever out of you. The number of students in our schools who are bullied and anxious and stressed is absolutely frightening. The CDC conducted a survey of high school students and found that almost 20% of high school students reported seriously considering suicide in a recent calendar year. That translates nationally into 2.8 million students. And statistically, if you have a child in high school right now, that means in a classroom of 25 students, 4 or 5 of them probably thought seriously about killing themselves. And there are other problems in public education. These are just a few. A new one is chronic absenteeism of students. There are teacher issues, low morale, teacher burnout. And then there's the ever-present low student achievement. It's a chronic problem that we have complacently come to accept. Routinely, nationally, More than 500,000 ninth graders don't graduate in 4 years, and many don't graduate at all. So what do? We complacently, we shrug our shoulders, we move on to the next year. This is a different way that I could show you the dangers and deficiencies in public education. Each of those 23 ovals represents a danger or deficiency in public schools. A few of those are relatively new on the public school scene, like gun violence in schools, relatively new. I mean, that just came along about 26 years ago when Columbine broke out. But by and large, most of these dangers and deficiencies have been with us for a very long time. Indeed, many of them have been with us since the advent of public education. Wrap your head around this. In 1913, the American Educational Research Association was founded. That means that since then, researchers have been adding to our knowledge about students and schools and the process of teaching, and they've been doing that for over a century. During that same time period, teachers have been practicing the art of teaching to students. And also during that interval, we've had many reformers of all types trying to solve all of these different problems. Unfortunately, we haven't been successful, and we are still faced with many of those problems. It begs a question, though. If these problems have been around for all this time, and we've gathered all this knowledge, and we're talking about a little bit of knowledge, we're talking about volumes and volumes based on research and based upon teacher experience, how is it possible that we could still have so many issues? That really is what I call the grand puzzle. And the grand puzzle, it really begs the question, how is it possible? What's preventing us? What is preventing us from putting all that knowledge and all that experience to work in designing an educational paradigm, excuse me, I need some water, that will work not just for a politically acceptable percentage of students, but for all students. Excuse me, I just need some water. What's preventing us? My answer to that question is complacency. And there are 3 forms of complacency that I want to run by you. The first form of complacency is the fact that we are stuck in a traditional educational paradigm. Here's what I mean by that. If you walk into any high school or middle school today, and you walk into a classroom, you will see one teacher in one classroom working all day to try to teach 5 or 6 groups of students, 20 to 30 of them, and those students are all going to try to survive and succeed individually. If you look further, you will see a school full of those teachers, maybe 50 or more, all supervised, evaluated, and supposedly professionally nurtured by one person, the principal, and maybe an assistant or 2. That is our current educational paradigm. But it is the exact same educational paradigm that was in place when I went to school more than 50 years ago. That's kind of scary, if you ask me. That's our current paradigm. Oh, sorry, too far. And sadly, that paradigm still doesn't work for a lot of students. Okay, let's go on. Second. The second, to help you understand the second, I guess, type of complacency that is going to hold us back from doing what's best for kids, I brought a prop. This is probably the largest baking potato you've ever seen in your life. And it comes with a question. I would like you to answer this question. What part of a potato plant is this potato? Is it a flower, a stem, a root, or a leaf? It is just a simple biological question. Don't overthink it. Just use your common sense and get an answer into your head, please. I'll give you a few seconds. Okay. If you use your common sense, you all know that stems and flowers and leaves, they all grow above ground, and roots grow below ground. Excuse me. So your common sense should tell you that this is a root, but it's not. This is actually an enlarged underground stem. I know you don't believe it, but you'll have to take my word for it. As both a lifetime gardener and as a former biology teacher, these kind of potatoes are stems. In this case, the common sense answer to the question is wrong. And that's important to remember. This is what Webster says about common sense. Common sense is sound and prudent judgment based upon a simple perception of the facts. The problem is, in life, and especially in education, issues are not simple. They are very complex, as are the solutions. In education, actually, everything is interconnected. This diagram I've come back to because I want you to realize that these are not the way that issues and problems, dangers, and deficiencies present themselves in the world. They don't present themselves as individual, discrete entities. They actually look more like this. They're connected. And if we want to try to reduce the impact of, say, a negative characteristic. Let's say we attack number one up there. We put together a program, a policy, or a procedure to reduce that. Here's what happens. We might be successful in bringing down the impact of that negative piece, but in the process, we will exacerbate, make worse other problems that are around it. Or if you look at the blue ones, we may even create new problems and issues. It's kind of like what you may remember from your days in middle school science, where you learned something about food webs. In education, when we try to impact or change one thing, because everything is interconnected, we end up affecting other things. The net result is a grand, I guess you could call it, game of whack-a-mole, if you're familiar with the game whack-a-mole. What we do in education, we come along and we try to tamp down a problem here, and then what do you know, over here, something else grows or something else pops up, and we have been doing this for a long time. For decades, we have sought simple, common sense solutions to very complex, interconnected problems. And folks, in education, that just doesn't work. That just kind of summarizes the educational complacency problem. We don't recognize the complicated. Okay, the third type of educational complacency is the myth. The myth that we always do what is best for kids. If any of you have ever been involved in education in any way, from superintendent to teacher to parent, you have probably heard statements like this. We always do what's best for kids. Kids always come first. We must make all the hard decisions to make sure that kids succeed. We all complacently, we buy into this. But it's not the reality. In reality, the statements actually sound something more like this, because I lived this as a teacher and a principal. We always do what's best for kids in our schools unless it costs too much, unless it's going to take some of my power and control away. I hate this one. Unless it means that we have to backtrack, admit that we actually did something wrong, and then do things differently. There's a whole bunch of unless statements. But the bottom line is, we fool ourselves into thinking that we are always doing what is best for kids. If anything, it's our way of kind of feeling good about ourselves. So, we have to ask ourselves, going forward, then, what should we do? I mean, right now I've just been throwing out issues and problems. We have choices. The first choice is we can maintain the status quo. We can choose to remain stuck where we are and then just sit back and watch students in our schools die. Don't be shocked when you hear me say that, because students do die in our schools every year. They die academically, they die socially, they die emotionally, and sadly, yes, even some die physically. A second choice, rather than just maintain the status quo that results in that, we can mentally get ourselves unstuck. Don't be stuck in the traditional educational paradigm. We can use evidence instead of common sense to develop new educational paradigms that will actually help all teachers and all students to be successful. And again, not just a politically acceptable percentage. Because right now people say, oh, we have an 85% graduation rate. That's great. But what that translates into nationally is just horrendous. And every one of those students has a face and a family. What we need to do in designing that new paradigm is to attack all of the dangers and deficiency in this complex situation holistically and simultaneously. If we do that, we can be successful. How am I doing? Am I at 15 minutes? I'm sorry. Okay, let me just leave you with this last quote. I wore this shirt in honor of Frederick Douglass, who's one of my favorite people in the world. He had a statement which I'm very fond of. He said, "It is much easier to grow strong children than to repair broken men." And with that, I say thank you for your attention.